What's up guys, and welcome back to Software Knowledge Solutions, and today we talk about Marvel Rivals Season 1. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Marvel Rivals Season 1 is out right now, and it's playable, and as you can see, I'm doing about, 170 FPS on its default settings. Now, Marvel Rivals runs on Unreal Engine 5. Even though this game looks like a PS2 game, it looks like I'm playing this on a PlayStation 2. Now, that is just unfortunate, but it is running on Unreal Engine 5. So it is quite hefty on the GPU, and it's quite hefty on the CPU, and it's quite hefty on your computer itself, and that's why you're losing performance in this game if you're running a low-end to a mid-end gaming PC. Even if you're running a high-end PC, you will still dip FPS in this game, because it is running on Unreal Engine 5. So, like I said, it looks like a PS2 game, but literally, I mean, look at it. Look at it. I mean, it looks like I'm playing on a PlayStation 2. I swear to God. But no, I'm running on a beefy computer. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, this is the best settings you can use right now at this very moment. This is my default settings. So I'm doing about 170 max FPS. And I'm doing my default settings that the game gave me with the new season. This is what I'm running right now. And that's the FPS I'm doing. So 170 max. This is what you're going to need to change. Display mode. Full screen always. Otherwise, you're going to get stuttering in the game. And there's a bunch of stuttering happening in this fucking game, and unfortunately that's just a fucking thing. Now, if you want to get rid of all those stutters, I highly recommend having this at full screen, and don't change it. Leave it at full screen mode. All right, aspect ratio, you're going to leave this at 16:9. Resolution, I highly recommend dipping this down. If you have a 4K screen, dipping this down to either 1440p if you can handle the game at 1440p, or 1080p and run it at that resolution. It is a competitive game, so rather have it at a resolution that's playable than having it on a high-ass resolution and then the game's unplayable. The game's very unoptimized, and they're trying their best to optimize it as best they can, even though they're fucking it more up and more up and more up. Yeah, give it... whatever. It's Unreal Engine 5, ladies and gentlemen. Or what can I say? Anyways, so now you have anti-analyzing super resolution type. You can use NVIDIA DLSS, which my GPU would prefer to do, because I own a 4070 Super. So I would recommend my machine to run on this, okay? But if you're running a lower-end graphics card, go to off, because you won't have this option. If you're running a lower-end graphics card from NVIDIA, you won't have DLSS, okay? You will have this, and this, okay? That's what you'll have on your NVIDIA card or your AMD card. Okay, now I can go ahead and change this to AMD FSR and have that quality, and then just go ahead and apply it and press escape, and the game looks exactly the same, and I'm basically doing the exact same FPS, right? Cool. Now go to settings. Let's change this now. I'm going to change it to this and leave it like this, and always have your render scale at 100%. Don't dip this down, otherwise it makes the game look a little bit kind of shitty. And I mean, it's already looking like a PlayStation 2 game. You don't want it to look like a PlayStation 1 game. All right, so apply these settings, go back, and as you can see now, surprisingly, my PC, my components, my 14700K and my 4070 Super does not like this. It doesn't like it because it wants to be able to use this over here, which is NVIDIA DLSS, running it at quality, and then apply these settings and press escape. As you can see, I do more FPS like this because my GPU wants to handle these settings. Okay, so now like I wanted to say is this. If you have a lower gen graphics card, either put this off to do better performance, or have it at this, have it at Epic TSR, or have it at AMD FSR. This depends on what GPU you are running. If you're running a low tier graphics card, go with this one over here. You can either go off or this one over here. If you have an AMD graphics card that's worthwhile using, and you know it's a beefy GPU, or at least mid-tier GPU, you can go to AMD FSR or Epic TSR. Go ahead and use that, and you should be good to go, right? So I'm just going to leave mine on a NVIDIA DLSS because my GPU prefers it, all right? Super resolution mode. You can go ahead and put this at quality or put it at balance. I'm going to change this to balance now. Now watch what happens. I am running 166, 165 FPS. I'm going to apply these settings now and go back. Now I'm doing 177 max. I'm almost doing 180 because I changed this now to balance out the performance and the quality of the game, right? So that's what you want. Or if your game's still running like dog shit, go to performance and then say apply, and you'll do more FPS in general. Now I'm almost doing 190 FPS and my game looks exactly the same. All right, so go to settings, come inside here. This is if you are on a obviously a card that has DLSS, all right? So then you can go ahead and put it on performance, balance, or quality, depending on the GPU that you are currently running. Okay, so that's what you will do. So I will run my game on performance. Obviously, I get more frames out of it. But what I will do is I will run it at quality and then apply it and then start changing things like, for instance, this stuff over here. So frame generation off, off, always off, leave it the fuck off and done. Don't use this on a multiplayer game. On single player games, it will make sense because it is AI created frames. So it will look like you're doing way more FPS in this game, but you're still doing the exact same FPS that you were doing before. So if I apply this now, I would be doing 310 FPS because it doubles the frames, but it's AI created frames, so they're not actually there, right? So they're not real frames, they're AI created frames. So I wouldn't be using this on a multiplayer game. Single player games, you can get away with it. You might not see stutters, you might not see shit breaking apart and things tearing themselves apart and stuff like that because it's AI created frames. So just leave this the fuck off and done. Okay, so low latency mode is something that a lot of people were complaining about. You can actually turn this the fuck off right now and leave it the fuck off. So as you can see, my FPS that I'm doing, I'm going to turn it off now and apply and then go back into my game. And as you can see, I'm about basically doing the exact same FPS, like 170. So if I go back here and I come back here again and I go here and I say reflex low latency on and I apply it and I go back into the game and I'm going back to 170 again. So there's no visual difference over here between this being over here or that, but my GPU will prefer this one over that one. So what I highly recommend, yes, you are about to be removed from the game. Now I don't want to be removed from the game, man. Like, what the fuck? I'm busy doing a video. Like, hello, don't remove me from the game, fucking chads. Anyway, so you're going to come to settings, and then obviously, like I said, my GPU is going to prefer this because it prefers it, right? Now, if you have a lower gen graphics card from NVIDIA, I would recommend, or in general, a lower graphics card in general, turning this completely off and apply it. And as you, like I said, as you can see, it does the same FPS, exactly the same, and even more now. Now I'm doing even more, okay? So settings, come in here, and then obviously have this at where you want it to be, have this at where you want it to be, own personal preference, and then frame gen off, low latency mode off, and then we're going to do this. Show your FPS, you want to see it, and then say apply. It will come on the top right hand corner over here. I'm using MSI Afterburner. A lot of people don't use it, or they don't use, like, let's say AMD's Adrenaline to see what they're doing, so they will rather see it in-game like this. I would highly recommend putting your network status on and apply it, because you can actually see then if you're getting stuttering or network latency issues. Because you might think that the game is running like dog shit, but it might be your connection to the server itself, and then you think, oh my god, my game's running like shit, what the fuck's going on with my computer? It's not your computer, it's actually your connection to the server itself. So highly recommend turning this on over here. The VSync, I highly recommend turning this on if you want to cap your FPS to the refresh rate of your monitor. So let's say 60 Hertz, 120, 144, all the way up to 500 Hertz monitors. Now, if you cap your FPS, it will then cap your FPS to the refresh rate of your monitor with VSync, right? 60, 120, 144, you get my drift. All right. The main reason why you would turn this on is if you're getting screen tearing. That's the main reason why you would turn VSync on. Okay. So for example, if I jump, if I swing, or whatever the case might be while I'm playing the game, and my game is tearing itself apart, like object starts tearing itself apart, like this starts moving and it's tearing itself apart, or the floor's tearing itself apart, or whatever the case might be, I'm just going to stand back where I was. Then I would recommend putting VSync on. Yes, then I highly recommend turning it on. But if you don't see that, turn it off and do unlimited FPS. All right, now we're going to go over here. Now you can click this button over here to say optimize, and it will optimize the game for you for your specific rig that you are running. But what I would recommend is you change it yourself. Not here, not low, medium, high, ultra, but you come inside here and start changing it so that goes to custom, and you change the global illumination. You can actually turn this completely off right now, or just run this one over here. Depends on the GPU you're running, ladies and gentlemen. So going to off and applying this, it's obviously going to ask you to either go out the training mode or go out the game and come back in to apply those settings. But as you can see, I just bumped up a bunch of FPS. So I recommend running that on off. Global illumination, turn it off. Reflection quality. Now it says screen space reflections. Now this is what it recommends for my GPU. So I can go ahead and turn it off and just say confirm and press escape and be in the game, right? Yet again, now I'm basically doing 200 FPS. The game looks exactly the same. I would recommend you use this and have your settings like that. right? So you're going to have this at off and at off. Then model detail, you can just go to performance mode and apply this. Say confirm, press escape. The character looks exactly the same. He has not changed. He doesn't look all squared out, block-like, or just looks fucking even worse now. Looks like a PlayStation 1 game, even though, like I said, the game looks like a PlayStation 2 game, but it's running on Unreal Engine 5. Okay, so cool. My model detail did not change at all, but it's going to change if I restart the game, but not by much. It's going to look exactly the same. So leave it at performance. If you want performance out of this game, the best FPS out of this game, leave this at performance, leave that off, and then we're going to come here. Post-processing, go to medium, then the shadow detail, go to medium or low, depending on the GPU you're running and the system you are running. Texture detail, I would choose high to medium. You do not need to go to low. You really don't, because you want your textures to look good. Okay, so high to medium. Let's just change this to medium. We go to effects. Effects you don't really need to see in this game, so go to low. And then the foliage. Foliage is how far you can actually see and what's going to render into the game, of how far it's going to render into the game. So if I put this at high, then it's going to render in things further down the line, all right? So if I put this at low, it's not going to render in things further down the line. So if I confirm this and go like this, now I'm doing 236 FPS, and now if I run around like this, things are still loaded in. Like, I mean, there's not much difference, and the game looks good, it runs good, it's doing way more FPS. As you can see, there's no stuttering happening in my game. My game's running perfectly fine. And this is the settings you should be using right now for Season 1. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the settings you're going to be using. So full screen, 16:9, 1080p or 1440p, DLSS if your GPU is a 40 series card or something like that. Go ahead and use that. Then use your own personal preference if you want to go ahead and use it. Use your own personal preference when it comes to a lower end card. So off, you can, like I said, turn this completely off if you want to, or use one of these or that one over there. Then this at obviously quality, if you're using the video DLSS, have it at quality. You can also have it at balance to obviously balance out the quality and the performance, and you'll get more FPS immediately, right? Then you're going to have this at off, always off, leave the fuck off and done. Low latency mode, off. Then your brightness, you can go ahead and adjust this. I made a video on this before. I'm not going to do it again where I go into NVIDIA control panel. Otherwise, I'm going to make this video way too long. Just go watch that video. I'll leave a link in the description down below, or I'll just pop it here in the top right corner, and then you can just go watch how I adjust the NVIDIA control panel settings if you're on an NVIDIA card like me. All right. Then you can limit your FPS if you want to. That's your own personal preference. Show FPS, show your network status, VSync turned off or on if you're getting screen tearing, and then obviously English, and then obviously you're going to have your settings like this right now at this very moment. Go ahead and run it like this, and you should be good to go and play your game. Ladies and gentlemen, if this worked for you, smash the like button, leave a comment down below, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new here, and as always, I hope this helped you, and peace out.